Grade 11, these are the answers for your psychology revision for the fourth quarter. So the first question, which of the following best describes the genetic theory of gender typing? So of course the thing that really describes the genetic typing is that it's controversial, because nothing proves that there are gender roles. What conclusion can be drawn about gender roles according to social learning theory? The gender roles are flexible. As we said, saying that this gender can do this or that gender can do that, you cannot assign jobs or roles according to sex, according to type. So the gender roles are flexible. A father or a man could be responsible for a house and could be cooking and caring for their children, and a woman could be responsible for providing food. These gender typing were used in the past because many things were happening that were literally assigning certain roles to certain people. What is a weakness in Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytical theory of gender typing? His view that children display gender typing between the ages 3 and 5. Of course, at this time, we have to remember this. Sigmund Freud built his theory about gender typing years and years ago, and he was convinced that the children, they display gender typing. So the girls, they act like what he thought was girls, and the boys, they act like what he thought was boys between the ages 3 and 5, which is a very big weakness of his psychoanalytical theory of gender typing. Number 4, what widely accepted idea came out of Margaret Mead's New Guinea study? Gender norms and rules vary across cultures. So some cultures would accept the gender typing, some other cultures will not accept gender typing, and they are very flexible. Number 5, which of the following toys would many girls between the ages of 1 and 3 most likely prefer? Soft doll. When gender roles became rigid and oversimplified, they are known as gender so. If they are rigid and they are oversimplified, they are known as gender stereotypes. Now we're going to use the graph to answer the 3 questions that follow. Let's look at the graph first. Here is the graph. The graph is showing the average SAT scores of college-bound seniors by gender. So it's showing the year, and it's showing the score, and it's showing here the males. The straight line is for males, the dotted line is for females. Okay, so if you look here, these are the males in math, okay, and these are the females in verbal. And now we're going to look at the rest of them. See here, the thick line is for males in math, the thinner line is for females in math. The one large dot, one small dot is for males verbal, this one, and then the equal dots are for females verbal. Now let's look at the question. The graph above shows that since 1980, women's math score has been rising. There was this idea that females always had better marks in verbal and in English, and that males, they had better marks in math. But now that since 1980, they have been seeing that the female SAT scores are increasing. According to the graph, in what year did females score the lowest in the math section of the SAT? 1980. According to the graph, which of the following are males and females average SAT scores about the same in the verbal sections? In the verbal sections, they had almost the same results here. As you can see, these were the female math scores, but the male's math scores are better. But when you look at the verbal scores here, they are almost the same. Number 10. Why do children develop a gender schema according to gender schema theory? They do this to organize their perceptions of the world. As a child, you start looking at your mother and you start looking at your father. And each of them, it forms a certain scheme for you. You usually connect better with the same sex parent at a time, and you identify with the same sex parent. So for example, if you're a guy, you identify with your father and you start looking at the activities that your father do, and you tell yourself, because we are similar, I'm going to do this. The females, the same. And then you connect more emotionally with the other sex parent. So this is what's called the gender schema theory. It's a scheme that is present inside the heads of the little children, and they make it to organize their perception of the world, to understand who they are. Number 11. Which of the following theories can best explain why gender roles may vary from person to person? Again, the gender schema. I have my own scheme in my head that tells me which parent I am supposed to be closer to. Number 12. Women tend to exceed men in behaviors such as trust and nurturance. Nurturance means caring for another human being. So women definitely, they exceed the men in behaviors such as trust and nurturance. Number 13. When a girl watches her mother apply cosmetics and then pretends to put on makeup too, this is an example of what? This is an example of modeling. She's modeling the behavior of the mother. Number 14. Anthropologists have found that men and women in prehistoric societies, they share responsibilities for farming, hunting, and child rearing. So even in prehistorical societies, there was not specific gender roling. They were sharing responsibilities for farming, hunting, and child rearing. 15. What is one explanation for cognitive differences between men and women? Of course, cultural influences. So if I have a boy, I'm going to be inclined to teach him more maybe about cars, maybe about plumbing. If I have a girl, I may be inclined to teach her more about sewing, about cooking. So it's all about cultural influences. Number 16. In general, why might men be more suited to warfare and sports competition than women? Because they have higher levels of aggression, so this aggression is going to make them more suited to be in warfare and sports. 17. What is the term that refers to the specialization of the two sides of the brain? It is called lateralization. So the left side of your body is controlled by the right side of your brain. Each side of your body is controlled by the opposite side of the brain, and it's called lateralization. And then the scientists also discovered that each side is more prominent in some of the activities. Number 18. Read the quotation below and answer the question that follows. The tendency to aggression is an innate, independent, instinctual disposition in males. This is, of course, Sigmund Freud. Which statement best supports Freud's view of aggression? That the aggressive behavior is linked to testosterone levels. The time you find the males having most of the problem is during puberty, because at puberty males have the highest testosterone level, and in this case they become more and more aggressive. 19. In which one of the following areas do girls tend to outperform boys? Of course, in spelling. Throughout most of history, what has been the role of women in most parts of the world? Child rearers. 21. Which of the following is a biological theory for explaining gender typing? We call it the genetic theory. Number 22. According to gender schema theorists, why might girls strive to cooperate with others? because girls perceive that society expects cooperativeness from females. So a girl is observing the behavior of the mother and she's trying to copy this behavior. So by time she learns that the society wants the girl to be cooperative, wants the girl to be nurturing, wants the girl to be giving, and this is the behavior that she tries to adopt over the years. This is half of the questions. We're going to solve the second half in the next video.